Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 54, Talkoffamepod podcast with the host, Kylie Montigney. I'm so excited to have on Miss Utah County, Lindsey Larsen. Thanks so much for coming, Lindsey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's an honor to have you on. So you are in the Miss America organization. What made you want to start doing pageants and competing for the title?
Yes, so when I was little, at our rec center, we have this giant wall of photos of forever Miss Lehighs. So I'm a former Miss Lehigh, but when I was little, I used to go look at that wall of all of these incredible women, and I would look at them and see how beautiful they were, and I could just tell that they were so talented and well-spoken, and I wanted to be like those women, but I never thought I could, just because I was super shy and really awkward, and I didn't grow up doing like pageants, and so I never really saw that for me in my life. But as I was dancing at my dance studio, I had a couple of friends who were in the Miss America organization, and I got to watch them compete, and I got to watch them devote their life to service. One of them, she would be practicing interview questions out in the lobby before we were waiting for class, and I was just so inspired by them, and I looked up to them so much. And once I saw that they could do it, I thought, hey, maybe I could try this and give this a shot. So that's when I started competing for Miss Lehigh, which is a local competition here in Utah. And I tried the first time and I got third runner-up. I was a little disappointed, of course. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
But that being third attendant was such an incredible opportunity. I learned so much. I got to really see what it was like to be a title holder behind the scenes. So I got to help out with a lot of the events, but I wasn't the main title holder, so I didn't have to do all of the work. That was such an incredible opportunity. And the next year, I continued to work even harder, and I ended up winning and becoming Miss Lehigh. And that was so amazing. I'm so grateful for that year. But because of COVID, I actually got to serve for 2 years. So I'm the longest reigning Miss Lehigh, which I'm
really
grateful for. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
cool. And now I'm actually on that rec center wall. I have my own photo. And so being able to look back and imagine little Lindsey looking at that wall, and to even think that if you told 8-year-old Lindsey that, hey, you will one day be on the Miss Lehigh legacy wall, I don't think she would ever believe it, but it's so neat to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as you kind of said before, you were such like a very kind of shy, awkward kid. I'm the exact way. When I was a little girl, I was always a very kind of shy, independent, awkward little kid and stuff. And like I dealt with anxiety my whole life, so I was kind of a little bit panicky, a little bit around people that I didn't really know. And I was like, when I first started this thing, I was like, how is a shy girl supposed to do a podcast or be in this type of industry? Because like that's kind of not something a lot of people do. But like when you're in this industry, a lot of people are basically like shy or kind of nervous or have anxiety. And like I'm like, okay, though, at least I'm not alone. That kind of has like shy anxieties. I'm not alone. Like it kind of makes me like when I first started, I'm like, okay, well, I feel like a loner. Like I kind of think I'm the only one that kind of has anxiety, that's shy, and like I'm not shy anymore though, just FYI though. But like when I was a little kid, I was a very shy girl, and like all my family and friends used to tell me, Kylie, you would even go up and like ask a waiter for something. Like you wouldn't ask anybody for anything. You always have to have your parents do it. Like you wouldn't do anything. I'm like, well, it's kind of not my fault. I'm shy. I don't like to talk to people.
I was the same way. I couldn't order food at a restaurant. So that's so neat. It's neat to see that opportunities like pageants or podcasts are able to help us grow and expand. And I think that's so neat. I mean, you're so well spoken. So that's incredible.
Thank you. So as we're kind of talking about anxiety and like all like shyness and all of that, like since you like speak in large crowds and stuff like that for the pageants, what is it like for you to handle all the shyness and anxiety for all the pageants and stuff like that?
Yeah, at first it was really scary and it was really tricky. I remember one of the first mock interviews that I had to do. So in the Miss America organization, we compete in different areas of competition. So we have an interview, we do talent, onstage question, and then a red carpet. So in that interview, as we prepare and get ready for the competition, we have these mock interviews. They're like practice interviews. And I remember going into one and the judge asked, what does your bedroom look like? And that's like the easiest question in the world to answer, because we all know what our bedrooms look like, but I had no idea how to answer it. I was just so extremely shy. And getting over that was really, really hard, but I think it just took a lot of practice. And so I'm so grateful to have done so many mock interviews and had so many opportunities to speak in front of large crowds to kind of get rid of those nerves. It's still not easy. I still get nervous. Like I just at I still
exactly. Like every time like I do like an interview or something, either it's for the podcast or someone else's podcast, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I can't talk. Like I'm nervous wreck. Like I know something like this right now. Like I'm not used to doing this.
I know I get really sweaty.
Yeah, I'm the same exact way. My hands are always get like a little sweaty. I'm starting like to shake a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but it always works out. It's always good. So yeah. I'm glad I've gotten over that a little more, a little bit better than I was. But I guess life is all about learning and growing. I'm still learning and growing from it. So yeah, I'm glad I'm getting over it.
Yeah. So you recently just started being a dance studio owner. What made you kind of want to open your own dance studio?
Yeah, so I teach at 4 different dance studios right now, and I've been a ballet teacher for about 3 or 4 years. And I kind of started my own studio out of my basement and just taking everything that I learned from all the studios I teach at and kind of applying it to my little home studio that I have. So I'd eventually like to expand it and have like an actual facility and have my own space. But right now it's really small. But I'm so lucky to teach at these dance studios and learn from them and all that they do. I actually also started my own adaptive dance class, and I actually have a really fun story. So yesterday it's called the Pledge. Oh, what is it? Pledge to Include. And it's a thing with Special Olympics and Best Buddies, which are programs for individuals with disabilities. And so they were doing this big social media wide campaign where you share about what it is that you want to improve with inclusion and helping bring more inclusion into your life. And I posted a video of a Special Olympics dance class that I do, and I tagged Chris Pratt on Instagram, and he ended up seeing it and he put it on his story. And so that was a really neat opportunity to see celebrities like Chris Pratt supporting inclusion and supporting and advocating for that. And I think it has like 370,000 views right now. So I'm really excited that I was able to share more about my adaptive dance class that I've done. So that's been a really neat thing to do with all of my dance training that I've had.
Absolutely. When did you post it? Yesterday?
Yeah, just yesterday. And it's like blown up.
Oh my God. Like, did you post on like all social media?
Just on Reels, just on Instagram Reels.
Oh, really? He saw it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Like I'm sure he's like a big celebrity like Chris Pratt size. He has so many people that tag him, and he can like this one type of reel can like change your whole life, like by a huge celebrity.
Yes, I know. I was like so shocked. I think I woke up my whole neighborhood last night with my excited scream.
Yeah, like I remember like my idol is Gina Davis. And so like I remember like I just remember her following me on Instagram, and I like remember I was in the basement sitting down watching TV. I put my phone up, and I immediately saw Gina Davis Institute started following you. I'm like, okay, well it's probably a fake account, don't worry. And then I looked on Instagram, this go scroll on something, and then it was her account. I remember running upstairs saying, Gina Davis is following me. I was just like speechless, and I think I woke up my whole neighborhood. I just seen the whole neighborhood because you me screaming at the top of my lungs. So it's like, oh my gosh, she knows me. Oh my God, it's just some little things that just make you want to scream.
Yes.
It really is.
It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So do you have anyone that you look up to as you do like pageants?
I have so many people that I look up to. Somebody recently, so I've had the amazing opportunity to work alongside the Utah County Commissioners, and they are all 3 of them are so incredible. But one of them, Commissioner Powers, Amelia Powers, she shared this really incredible story of how she grew up homeless in Utah County when she was younger, and how she was able to overcome that. And now she has a family, and she's a very successful female politician, and that she is helping better Utah County. I think that's so empowering. Every time she speaks with so much power. I mean, her last name's Powers, but she just speaks with so much power, and she's so eloquent, and hearing her story is so inspiring. So I really look up to her a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So like it's kind of like the thing, like you trying to her last name's Powers, and then she's like, oh, I must put powers into myself, and just kind of let it all out and everything.
I love it.
Yeah, so like you recently kind of were, as we're kind of talking about Miss Utah County, you're recently crowned for it. What was kind of your reaction to winning that title?
Oh, I was so excited. I was so grateful. So I was a former Miss Lehigh. I think I mentioned that. And I was Miss Lehigh for 2 years. And I had the opportunity to go compete at Miss Utah. And I ended up getting second runner up. And I was so grateful for that. And after Miss Utah, I kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But I realized that I wasn't done competing in the Miss America organization because I had done so much work with my social impact initiative and I really wasn't done. I wanted to continue the work that I had been doing and I wanted to see how far I could take it. And luckily, I've been able to partner with the Utah County Health Department and do a lot with them and go and visit elementary schools. So I'm so grateful that I didn't stop that work. And also, I've just grown so much as a person and I've developed so many incredible skills in such a short amount of time. I mean, I've only been involved in pageants or scholarship competitions for about like 3 or 4-ish years. And so to see the growth that I've had from when I started to now is so amazing. So I knew I just wanted to continue seeing that growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is some advice for younger generations that like to be in like pageants one
Yeah, this is kind of some advice I just give to anyone in general. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think oftentimes we feel like we have to do everything on our own. And I remember growing up, I really struggled with math. I hated
day? Yeah,
math. I
me
was
too.
so bad at it.
Me too.
And
I'm horrible at math. Anything
it's the
math in
worst.
this horrible.
It's the worst.
Mhm.
Still not the best.
Yeah.
But I ended up having to go do this like after school program. And I remember feeling so dumb having to ask for extra help and having to be so far behind than everybody else. And now I'm so grateful that I did take the time to ask for help and that I wasn't afraid to do that. And I think a lot of kids are oftentimes afraid to do that. And so don't be afraid if you are struggling with your mental health or if you're struggling with math or if there's something that you're struggling with, ask somebody, ask a friend, ask a family member because they will show love and they will want to help you the best that they can.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the person that hates asking for help. Like I just like absolutely hate asking for help. And like whenever I need help with the podcast, like I do all the editing stuff on my own. So I'm the person that does every single thing. And sometimes I think, oh shoot, this is too much. Like how am I supposed to do this all in one day? Like how am I supposed to answer questions? Like editing, doing the interview, like how am I supposed to do all these kind of steps? And it takes a long time to edit and do all these things. I'm like, oh shoot, how am I supposed to do this? Like my sister's a pro at this. She's a mother of a 1 year old, so I'm like, I don't want to be bothering her. Like I'm a person that hates asking people for advice and everything. So I'm like, okay, well, I might as well do everything on my own and take as many things as possible into one specific thing or whatever I need to. Like I'm the person that basically handles too many things at once and this like not really commit to it. And so like I'm really the person that really hates asking for help and just kind of get really stressed and angry over it.
Oh man, well, you're doing amazing. I just have to tell you, you're doing an incredible job. Like being able to balance all of that is amazing. And running a successful podcast, like that's incredible.
Thank you so much. So as we're kind of 2 years into the pandemic, how much do you think has changed with pageants since it all started?
Yeah, I think a lot. I remember when I was Miss Lehigh, when I first won, I was on a roll. I was doing all of these amazing things, and then COVID hit, and all of a sudden, I wasn't able to go into elementary schools and share my social impact initiative, which is about movement and getting kids moving. I wasn't able to do all of these big plans and ideas that I had anymore because we were all asked to stay inside, and we were kind of unsure of what was going to happen with COVID. And so I remember being like, oh, this is the worst. Like I can't, it's hard to be a title holder. Like, how am I supposed to do this? But I had to get really creative and innovative on new ways to get my social impact initiative out in the community. And I actually started making these, like, I call them brain break videos, so like dance videos. And I would post them on social media and they did pretty well. And so I ended up sharing those with elementary schools across Utah County and getting those out and seeing the benefit of that. And that's actually something that I've continued to do as Miss Utah County. And I've partnered with the Utah County Health Department. And I have these brain break videos that I made with them. And I share those with elementary schools throughout Utah County. So that wouldn't have been able to happen if I wouldn't have experienced the pandemic. So I'm really grateful that, I mean, lots of hardships. It
Yeah.
was a very hard time. I am still very grateful that there were some silver linings that came out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as like the pandemic really kind of changed everyone in some type of way. Like and no one knew like what was gonna hit. Oh, people thought like, including me, I thought, oh, it's probably the last 2 weeks. Like it's no big deal. It's like, oh great, off school, that's great, and everything. Like I just kind of thought, oh well, at least we get to do nothing for like we had time to kind of set free ourselves and do nothing. And
Mhm.
so it's like I was kind of like, oh well, whatever. Like this is something that's not gonna last long, so let's take it in while you have it. And so like, then now, like 2 years later, like we're still in this pandemic. And so like if it wasn't for the pandemic, I wouldn't have done this podcast at all. Because like
Oh,
if
wow.
because I literally started this podcast almost a year ago in April. So I'll be starting like it since like the pandemic wouldn't really happen if it like the podcast would happen if I didn't like the pandemic never happened. So there's like always pros and cons to the pandemic. Like yes, mental health kind of took a toll on me a little bit. Like in 2020 into 2021, it took me very hard. And now in like the middle of 2021, 22, I'm like, okay, well, I have a little fame on my name. Like people, and a lot of people know me nowadays. Like if it was like a 6-year-old me, I would never picture myself doing this whole thing. I kind of picture myself being still actually a very shy, kind of quiet girl. Now I have a podcast, so it's like it's like a very different perspective. Like you said, like to think like your younger self was always a very kind of shy, awkward girl to now being pageant. Like it's just two different things that you never kind of pictured yourself doing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so true. The pandemic there were a lot of horrible things that happened with it, but I'm so, so grateful because that's so neat. We were able to pursue things that we're successful at and we're passionate about. That's so neat.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so good to speak with you. You're amazing. And I keep doing what you're doing because you're doing amazing in this. You're so successful, and I really encourage you to keep going. And so yeah, we'll just speak soon. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so, so much for having me. You are an inspiration. I'm so grateful to be
Thank you
here.
so
You.
much. Same to you as well. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course.